hadn't actually got the thing up, but that's okay. There we go. Okay. Good morning, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Kieran, DWP. I am the server's local soundboard, and today I'm playing Love is Blind because I have one bastard bird and then 3 silly birds, and today it's the Stinkman's day to play. But I'm playing with a very awesome chap who I grab all the time and wish we could hang out more and also just hold incredibly gently. Would you like to introduce yourself and your character?
Gosh. Alright. Every fucking time. Alright. Hi! I am Authenticity. Today I will be playing the Ticked Off Chicken. And I believe this is the first FPS that I've done with you. Where you have not been playing your wonderful threesome.
Yes. Okay, yes. Yes, my wonderful TOC has basically met only one of my characters, which is Eenie, Miny and Mo. They are a tall, 3-headed bird, but they're not here today. This is a different bird. They're much shorter, they're much angier, and far less pleasant is a word. I mean, I don't know if you can apply that to Eenie, Miny and Mo, but yeah, you know what I mean. Cervic, that's the word. But anyhow, today is called Bird to Bird Contention, which kind of gives away how this is going to go, but that's the time of this FPS. So, as for where Lau and TOC meet, if you don't have an idea, I do have an idea.
I have an idea, however, I am curious.
Okay, well, wonderful thing about Toontown, I know TOC has their own vegetables and stuff growing in their gardens, right? On their roof, they have a lovely greenhouse. I don't know how they would have heard about this, but maybe they've heard that the Toontown public greenhouses, where people could just come and pick their stuff or look after and plant their stuff however they like, it's all communal. They've recently had some strange new foods grow. They're not quite sure what these things are, but they've eaten them and they're edible, so shrug. I guess if you want some, come get them.
ITC is curious, like, they had a very similar experience with a lot of sort of common vegetables, because they were never a farmer, they were a chicken. And, like, while they were familiar with farmed things, it was, a very specific corner of the farm, because they weren't, you don't want your chickens on, your fucking, your crops. Unless you're doing, like, a fertilizer thing, but I digress. So, yeah, they had to, like, okay, this is, you say a parsnip? Okay, I don't know if I wholly believe you, but okay. So, they're just like, yes, more root vegetables that I haven't heard of. Might as well. They're not doing anything else with their Friday.
Me too. So, I guess you're heading into Toontown. I guess... I don't know if you wanted to roll anything to see if TOC finds it, but if not, then there can just be information and directions on the flyer.
I mean, if there's a flyer, then they're like, I think they're going a little bit cautiously. Like, the last time they were in sort of like an organized event sort of deal, they tried to do a sing-off with a god and fell, like, flat on their ass. Or a dance off.
I will say it's not only a flyer, there's like it's like a headline in a newspaper, like strange new fruit/vegetable grows in Toontown's public greenhouses. And it's just like multiple question marks across the page. Actually, the whole front page is mostly question marks, then it's just a picture of like this weird fruit vegetable, which is very blurry, kind of like a cryptid, but don't worry about that.
Oh my god. Well, that's just great. There'll be a crowd. Mm. It's I want to say for flavor, like they're hoping this will cheer them up because like it's getting towards springtime, but it's not quite ready to start their seeds. So they have gone a very long winter without their garden and they miss it. They miss their plants. They want their plants. Um and like they had to go like shopping for vegetables and it sucks because nothing is fresh. Half the shit's wilted and the other half will wilt within, the next 2 to 3 weeks. Like it's just they miss their garden. But this will be better. This will be better. This will cheer them right up. Provided there's not a crowd.
Well, I mean, if you head over, you can roll perception, but you head over to these greenhouses, and yeah, no, there's not a crowd.
This is suspicious. But yeah, they'll roll perception. Why wouldn't we roll perception?
Oh, perception.
22.
Damn, I forgot your mod. Yeah, you look around. There's not crowds. There are people like leaving the greenhouse, but it's not crowded. It's only like a few people. And if you look around, you see there are quite a few cars. Like it looks like most of the people have left, and they've got huge burlap sacks just kind of overflowing. Like you see like an SUV that's just got like a burlap sack kind of bulging out the sides of the windows. They've opened the boot and it's kind of half bulging out of that. One person's got their sunroof open and it's just like a tall tower of a burlap sack sticking out of that, kind of like a chimney. And then there's someone who is just got like a bunch of logs, and there's the biggest sack you've ever seen just being pushed along these logs, and they put one log in front and then push, and then one log in front and push. And then you see this little old Frankenaley lady with a tiny little trolley. And the biggest burlap sack you have ever seen, full of something. You don't know what it is, but it's full of something. And she's pushing it along very merrily, very happily. No issue with the size. She's just this bent over old lady with big old specky glasses, just making her way away from the greenhouse. But yeah, most people are leaving.
They sort of give the old lady a nod, like, barbarian to barbarian. Yeah, alright.
This old lady looks down, it blinks through her big bottle glasses and her big round eyes, and just says,
"Oh, hello, dear. Are you here for the special fruits and vegetables?"
They do a nod.
Actually, you know what? I think I might have a picture of this person. Give me a second. I'm very sorry. Because I said they were wearing big round glasses. Let me just find a reference of her. Because I said she was a Frankenaley. I'm just going to retcon that very quickly. This woman has mostly a pink and purple colour scheme. And she has a little handbag on her shoulder. And on her other shoulder is like a little wicker basket. Give me a moment. I am trying to find her reference. I do have her in here somewhere. Better have her in here somewhere. Do I not have her on me anymore? That would be an awful disrespect from me. I can't find a reference at the moment, but if I do, I will try and put her up. But yeah, there's this old lady. She's UPA, she's purple and pink, and she's got like a very nice little pink coat on. And yeah, she's got a wicker basket that you can kind of hear shuffling, and you hear a little wow come out of it. And she's got a handbag on the other side of her, and she's just nodding and says,
"Oh yes, there's been quite a growth of things recently. Oh, it's been rather wonderful. Nothing's been growing quite as well as this particular thing in here."
And taps it and says,
"Oh, we've got a long way to go back to Town to put all this to good use. Oh, we'll make so many pies, won't we, Toodles?"
And you just hear another wow on the wicker basket as the woman nods, and then nods down to you and says,
"Well, I hope you have a good harvest, dear."
They give her like another sort of like indeed nod. I also want you to know that every time you made a meow noise, my cat looked around like, what the shit?
Excellent. My cat's speech grows. Good. Okay, yeah. other than that, you look out and it's a very large greenhouse. Like, this is the kind of greenhouse you'd see at, like, TFC probably wouldn't know, but it is the kind of greenhouse you'd see at, like, a big, what's the word? The only thing that's coming to my brain is, like, Kew Gardens, but it's just huge. It's a huge pecking greenhouse.
It's a greenhouse the size of a Walmart.
Yes, that's it.
We have one of those near my house, and it is delightful.
Good to hear.
But yeah, I can't imagine it's TFC's first time there, so they're just gonna bop on right on in.
Oh, you walk in, and do you want to roll me another perception?
Sure.
This is just going to be a little bit for
that's a
funsies,
nat
honestly.
one.
Oh dear, this does explain something though, because you look around and your eyes are immediately drawn to a very large vegetable. By large, I mean, damn, this thing goes from the bottom of the floor to the ceiling, and this ceiling isn't small. It's at least 120 foot. This thing is peeking past that to the top of this greenhouse. It may actually be pushing into the top of the beams of this greenhouse of how big it is. It's a big veggie. It's a real big veggie. That's pretty much taken up your whole field of vision at the moment.
Yeah, they're resisting the urge to like climb to sit on top of it because holy shit, it's yeah.
Must sit on giant pecking egg veg. Oh my pecking gosh. Okay. But yeah, you do just see this giant pecking fruit. I will say though, even if you got a nat one, you do hear just a giant, like, not a giant, you hear like a noise coming from your left.
They will look to their left.
To your left, and it seems like the roots and vines of this thing have grown out of what a container they held and have now spread across this greenhouse, overlapping and intertwining with all the other fruits and vegetables. There are grapes that are now got these strange little fruits dangling down. There are potatoes that have these things growing up right next to them. Tomatoes, like all sorts, have been kind of intertwined with the vines and sprouts of this thing. And then you see someone in a chair facing away from you, with a pair of shears just kind of cutting at some of these strange fruits, plucking them off, inspecting them, and then putting them under their blanket.
Yeah, they're just sort of eyeing the vines intertwining with the rest of the garden, just like, oh, that's gonna kill it real quick. But I mean, they're not going to bother. They assume that's one of the workers. So I think that they're just gonna sort of like, honestly, they're not thinking they want to take one of these fruits home because one, they don't know how to care for it. Number two, like it would be irresponsible with, you know, an established garden to just sort of introduce something willy-nilly. So instead they're just gonna sort of like walk through and just sort of enjoy because, oh my god, did they miss greenery.
Man, you're gonna walk through then, and I'm just gonna roll another one of these because Dice Passer has been bullying me a bit today. Thank you. You start to hop around, duck underneath some of the vines or hop along some of the vines, and I've got to roll another thing because they have seen you now. Okay. You hear a very stern, "Just what do you think you're doing?"
They turn around.
You turn around and you see someone sitting in a wheelchair. You see this person. You can't see the bottom half of this person. They have a blanket covering the bottom half of them. The top half, the top half is just an outline, black outline of some sort. It's a bird in some. You can't tell what kind. It's a bird. You know that much. and there's 3 curls sticking out the back of their head, and they are looking at you with a very steely glint in their eye.
You see, like, squares with this person and, like, kind of something about him just sort of rubs them the wrong way. Like, it's not anything, like, rational. Like, it's... And I think that they sort of take a second to be like, I'm not going to take my bad mood out on this poor so-and-so. But they sign, I'm just here to enjoy the greenhouse. I'll keep out of your way.
Question, is that Toonkind or Frumensign?
Toonkind.
Okay. See this person's eyes narrow? They just shake their head and say, if you're trying to communicate with me, I don't know. I've been trying to catch up, but I do not know Toonkind. I know Frumensign. However, I do not. Just kind of frustratedly plops the shears in his lap and reaches underneath their blanket.
They'll actually... They pull out a notebook.
Can I just say, like, you reach underneath your wing or something, and Lau reaches underneath his blanket, and at the same time you both pull out notebooks.
They do a little magician's flourish in the air with their wing. And they look at his notebook like, And they will write, thank you for the consideration. I'm just here to enjoy the greenhouse. I will stay out of your way.
Person glares at you, and they're not gonna take a pen or a pencil or anything out. They're gonna write on the piece of paper with their pinky finger, from the looks of it, and they're gonna turn it around to you and say, "Are you deaf?"
I am not.
Nod. I'm gonna write again. Although turns it back to you and says, "You know." I don't remember if you answered this. It might be just my brain being silly, but they will write, "Do you know Frumensign?"
I do not, only Toon.
Just gonna see them huff, fold this thing up, shove it under their blanket, and then turn to look at you and say, "Well, this isn't exactly... I don't know if you've noticed, but that thing seems to have rather taken over the greenhouse. I'm trying to get rid, but at least trim it down, and it's not exactly time for people to be perusing about. I've already had an issue getting everyone out of the greenhouse." He jerks his finger over his shoulder at where everyone has, the crowd has left, and he says, do you know how much effort it took to get them out of here so I can actually sort this thing out? Because if I don't sort this thing out, it's going to eat the whole greenhouse, and I don't need any more people coming in here and making my job even bloody harder.
They just sort of blink, and they very slowly write, you let an entire crowd of people leave with fruit from an invasive plant.
I couldn't stop all of them. I just told them to leave. And I can't keep track of where everyone does. What they do with those things and gestures, that's not my concern. My concern is the communal gardens.
They will ravage this Are you serious?
What do you mean, am I serious? I'm not here for them. I'm here to get this thing out. And he jabs at the very large plant that's still just sitting there. What they do with their harvested parts is not my concern. I'm concerned with getting this out so that everything else doesn't immediately flourish and die.
Can you please roll an insight check on this chicken?
Double check your insight because your stats, stats are a little bit hickey now. 17.
This chicken thinks that you are they are taken aback by your callousness. Like, it's are you serious? It's none of your concern that thousands of fruit from an invasive species has just been sent home into domestic gardens.
I was gonna unroll his eyes. Look, it's not my concern what people do. If they're stupid enough to pluck a weird plant and then eat it, that's not my concern. My concern is for the plants here, not for the people out there. And he, again, jerks a thumb over his shoulder and just says, now, if you wouldn't mind taking an exit, and gestures at the door, that would be greatly appreciated while I sort this mess out.
You do understand, I hope, the basic concepts of an ecosystem, right? It doesn't matter what you care about. This will eventually come back to bite, I assume, both of us both in the ass. One of them was going back to Valestown, traveling miles and miles with dozens upon dozens of those fucking fruit.
I was going to scoff, roll his eyes again. Yes, well, I'm sure they're going to take a teleportation circle or some such. Most people usually do, because most people don't put the effort in to actually get to places like that. It's all that... It seems to be very cheap and convenient for all the toons to do such and such a thing. And he's just kind of muttering to himself. He's picked up the shears and he's once again kind of chipping at the vine, which shows only a very slight sign of wear and tear. And he's just... And he once again says, look, if they start throwing the things into the wilds of the world, then it becomes my concern. But if they're just being stupid and picking up wild fruit, it's the same thing as going out into the woods and picking up a strange berry you don't know what it's going to do and deciding, oh yes, I'm going to put that in my mouth because I'm very hungry. And his back is turned to you and he is just hacking at this plant as he's saying this.
TAC is just like, fuck this guy. It's... God, I think that they, well, if it's not supposed to be here, then, they consider asking, to see who put the plant there, but also that would involve talking to this person for literally a nanosecond longer. And that might, it probably won't kill them, but why make the, why make the risk, so.
They suffer this man's company.
God, I think that they just, very tuned behind his back, just, meh. And then, stalk off to another part of the greenhouse, he can do whatever.
I'm gonna roll perception to see, can I roll perception to see if he notices that?
Mm-hmm.
13. Shrug. I don't know if he notices that or not.
I mean, they're a chicken. It's...
Yeah.
They are, pure black, which is pretty noticeable in a garden. But also, they're a chicken.
Yeah. They're a chicken. I feel like Lau's just going to keep hacking at this thing, and then... Gosh, he's going to do... no, he hasn't got this in his hand space anymore, he's got it on his belt. Let me roll another whiz save for him. Let's see how well this goes. Okay, fine. Just, let me see. Okay, you're not going to go quite that far yet. But he is going to call out over his shoulder to you. If you're not gone by the time I'm cutting through this, I am coming after you and I am physically removing you from this house. Do you understand me?
Does he have eyesight on them?
He's probably looking over his shoulder. Where they've gone.
I think TAC looks at him, looks at like a sign above their head that says Toontown Public Gardens, looks back at him. Yeah.
He looks up, narrows his eyes, and he slowly looks back down and he says, "Don't you dare."
God, TAC is just like, for once they're like, they feel blissfully, like, a blissful lack of culpability for how pissed off this man is. Like, he creates his own problems before their eyes.
Oh, goodness gracious. I was just gonna dead-eye look this chicken in the eye and say, "If you don't leave right now, I am going to have to forcibly make you." And you'd have to roll insight. He looks like he's going to make good on his promise.
I think, like, TAC rates and shows him, this is a genuine question, but why? What could I possibly do to get in your way in this enormous greenhouse?
It's not about getting in my way, it's about knowing what this thing can or cannot do, and you don't know what this thing can or cannot do, and until I have safely, at least, taken some of the roots away, I don't know if you're going to get injured, and I don't want to be culpable for that, or someone's going to accuse me of having attacked a poor defenseless chicken, he says rather sarcastically, whilst I was trying to, I don't know, sort this whole fucking mess out, and he gestures again at the large plant that is just sitting there. So, kindly get the fuck out while I'm actually trying to sort this shit out instead of having just a fun little wander.
Jesus. TAC is just like... I think that they just, like, stop and watch him for a second, because, oh my god, the leaps of logic. The misdirection of, like, first of all, if you're going to blame me for something someone else could do, kindly wait until they do it. Second of all, if you are older than me, I will eat my fucking pitchfork. You are not responsible for me. You are not, as I see it, in charge of this greenhouse. And I don't believe you have any right to tell me to do anything.
You see this person's outline go through. Whilst you were talking, it did kind of look like a little shivery, like it was kind of shaking. The more you keep talking, you start to see little points start to grow out of it, kind of like little, it's like little nubs, and then slowly they start to grow into spikes until this person's whole outline is just a jagged spike of a bird as it is glaring at you.
Yeah, their feathers are foofed up right back. Like, they're just like, you are full of shit.
And this person's
bullshit.
I mean, you're right, but he's not going to accept that. He's just going to look. He's just looking at you. He's just looking at you, and you're not my responsibility. You're correct. However, I need to sort this out to make sure the other plants in here don't die. And I don't want you fucking around somewhere I can't see you and doing something that could possibly make this worse. Because I seem to be the only person that gives a shit that this thing is here. So unless you get your shit out or stay within my sight, I'm going to have to ask you to get the fuck out until I'm done.
You know what? I'm going to see. Let's see. Alright. Okay, a 14. It's something about what you just said. No insight check necessary. They despise it.
Ooh.
But instead of, like, for a second, it looks like they're going to explode, but they don't. They stop and they look at him and they go, okay. You are a very small person, I think, and I am part of the universe that you can't control. I'm going to leave because I do not want to say anything that could bring me down to your level. If you want help, I am also a gardener. That being said, fuck you. And they turn and they leave.
TOC, if you're making your way out, you hear like something thump to the floor behind you, and he would have had to do this. Yeah, he would have to do this. You kind of hear like the sounds of wood snapping and breaking and just like creaking, like, and then something flipping onto the floor.
Their passive perception is 20. Can they turn and they look?
Absolutely. You turn and you look, and this bird, who was just sitting in his wheelchair, the spokes of his wheelchair are no longer spokes. They have reached out from the center of the wheels to thump upon the ground like great spidery octopusy legs. He is now 4 foot off the ground, and he is glaring at you, and he is very, very spiky, and he is heading in your direction.
Oh boy. They give him a look like, are you fucking serious? Can they perhaps take evasive action?
I mean, you can if you want.
You know what? I think that they're just going to stand the ground.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Well, good news. This person is not coming up to smack you or hit you or anything. Bad news is they come right up to you, and the chair drifts down as far as it can with its wheels touching the ground as closely as it can. And this person leans as far down over their blanket as they can to squint at you, and they hiss, "Be careful who you call a small-minded person, little chicken."
They look at him. They just look.
Now tilts its head to the side and says, You say you're a gardener, hmm? If you're a gardener, then tell me, how the fuck do you think we should deal with this then? And he gestures behind at the very giant strange fruit, and gives you like a, well, what would you do? What the fuck would you do with this kind of look?
Battle axe? That, or someone who has the spell Firebolt and the feat Spell Shaping.
Oh yes, that's a very particular set of skills for spellcasting, you realise that. As for the battle axe, I presume you mean hopefully at the vines and not at the actual thing itself.
Do I look like an idiot? Don't answer that.
Gladly. He just rolls his eyes. Actually, I might actually have to get his fumble sheet up for this, because I need to check if he has something. By the way, what is TOC proficient in?
Proficient in?
Huh? In terms of weaponry.
In terms of weaponry, martials and simple.
Martial and simple. Okay, give me a second.
And
also, give me a second, my... Oh?
I also usually give them proficiency with gardening tools because there's no equivalent
Yeah, no, I understand, dude. There's no tool equivalent. Also, give me just one moment. I'm very sorry. My dogs are whining to be let outside.
No, of course, dude. Yeah, take your time. Hello, listening audience. How have you enjoyed the FPS? The birds are fighting. The birds are fighting.
You're gonna hear the clickety clackety sounds of my dogs.
Oh, it's a good friend.
They are good boys, and I've had to pull them both off of the sofa, and they gave me such baleful looks.
Oh.
As they did so. They are not happy to have been removed to their proper sleeping area.
They are comfy. They need the sleeps.
The black and white one, Rossi, does not like to be removed from his section of the couch, and so he always bares his teeth, but guess what? He still gets to have to be moved. There you go. Good boy.
Yes, I know. You did very well. You had a good lead.
You please don't wag your tail against the blinds and make a lot of noise. I love you for this.
Right, you can both stay in here, but you have to be shush.
Yes, I know. I love you. Are you going to come up and wag your tail at the blinds? No, you're just going to come wag your tail at me. Okay, that's fine. Sorry, audience. You're hearing me maybe talk to my dogs now.
Before the recording started, everyone heard me baby talking my cat, so we're fine.
Fair enough. You're gonna hear ambient tail whacking noises. 'Cause they're both just here now.
They love you.
They do. They're like pets. Also, right, where were we? Oh yes, I was getting up the fumble chart that I never get out because I am a fool. And I need to see if Lau has this in here somewhere. I don't think he. Actually, I should roll. I should do a quick roll just to see if he gets into this thing. Oh, it's a fumble. That's a fumble anyway. Okay, let's do this. Let's do a D20. Ooh, that's a close one. That's a very close one. Okay. Huh. Okay, that's cool. So Lau has reached under his blanket, and he's gone to pull something out, and now I need to roll a strength save for him. Okay. And he pulls it out, and he pulls out a longsword. A real kind longsword. And he looks at it and blinks. Blinks down at you, and he sneers a little and holds the blade out with the pommel towards you and tilts his head to the side and just says, "Do you want to give this a try then,
They take it and they sort of weigh it.
It's very well balanced. And you can roll investigation or something on it if you'd like.
Actually, yeah. Their investigation isn't great, but also, I think that because they know that, they're also going to be like, okay, tell me about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a 2.
It's a longsword. It's a longsword. It's a real kind longsword. Sure is.
They look at Lau and they awkwardly write with one wing. And what is this?
Lau scoffs. Well, you suggested either someone with fire spells and spell sculpting, which I don't know if you've noticed, gestures around. Not only is there no one here, but also I don't think any of the people that were here knew much, if anything, about casting spells. And his beak kind of wrinkles up a bit of a sneer. And I don't have a battle axe on me because that's not exactly my primary weapon. And he reaches down to a pouch and pulls out what looks like an icicle. And kind of, I'm gonna roll sleight of hand. Because if if you roll low on this. This is a 6. He tries to spin it between his fingers, and he does one spin, it thumps onto his blanket, and just hit the spikes on him get even sharper as he picks it up and holds it normally. This is my
says
primary.
nothing, but their expression speaks volumes.
His glare sharpens, the spikes on him sharpen even more. I don't have a great axe on me, because this is my primary weapon. However, you seem to have an idea as to how to get rid of this, so go ahead, hack at it. And he viciously gestures inside the greenhouse and says, if you think you can do a better job than I did, of course.
I think, again, they're just, like, so many words in their beak. Like, he has put so many words in their beak, they might choke on them.
He has a habit of doing that.
Like, he can roll insight on the chicken again. Like, they're giving him a look like, you don't seem dumb, but also, you're giving it your best shot.
And you can roll an insight on him as well if you'd like.
Sure.
Yeah, he got a 12.
12. They're looking at him with some sort of disbelief. God, it's been long enough that, yeah, I need to double check their insight.
22. Ooh, okay. So with a 22, you can clearly see the spikes are very aggressive. You can assume that's anger. Probably. I don't know if you've met any, like, colour changing or physical shaping tunes that change with their emotion. This seems to be one of those kinds of things, and you assume that the spikes look very aggressive, defensive, angry. So you assume this guy is angry, and also you see the way he's just kind of looking around and focusing and retightening his grip on this dagger. This guy also seems kind of stressed at having to deal with all of this. You can also tell that this guy's not stupid, he's just stubborn. He's just stubborn as fuck.
Oh, that's gross.
And he just gotten everyone out, and then a fucking chicken comes in and says, it's a public place, I can do what I want. And he's just, yes. Just fucking stressed and annoyed, and he wants to get this done. And you are preventing him from getting this done.
Like, God, is a 14 enough that I don't think it is. That's a low save for that wisdom roll. I think that, like, they study his face, and they see that he sees them study his face. And they sigh. And they're going to, yeah, they pull out a thermos of something, and they sort of, like, toss it at him. It's up to him whether or not he catches it, but, and they...
Roll a dex save. Roll a dex save, which is precisely nothing. Okay. Does catch it, he, like, fumbles with one hand, like, he has to drop his dagger into his lap and then catch it with both of his hands, and he fucking glares at you like, you could have fucking warned me before you chuck shit at me. And he kind of squints at this thing that you've thrown at him. He's like, what the fuck is this anyway?
They just, like, figure it out. They have take the long sword, and they are moving towards one of the vines.
The fuck do you mean, figure it out? He's gonna shout over his shoulder at you as you walk away, TOC.
Does he examine the thermos?
He's holding the thermos. Certainly. I presume it's warm?
It is. And there's definitely a lot of liquid inside it.
Al's just going to very carefully open the top. His eye is still on the chicken as he's doing this. And he's just going to hold it up And he hasn't got any nostrils, but he's going to open his beak and just inhale the smoke to kind of smell it. Should I roll an investigation on this?
Go ahead. I'll say it's a low DC, especially because this is actually something that you would know. I assume.
Okay. It's an 8. It's an 8.
Even with that, because he knows plants.
He knows plants, and if this is some sort of tea, then he would also probably know that.
So I'll say that, from the steam, it smells like at least a decent chamomile.
See, now he narrows his eye again, even narrower. They're basically like a slit of an opening on his face as he's looking at the chicken. He slowly just turns the top back onto the thermos. And I'm going to roll this save. Oh, 30-20, that's fine. He's going to take a deep breath, he's going to let out, and the spikes will recede a little, but not completely disappear. They're more like tiny little barbs now. And he's going to turn around, send his spidery, octopusy little vine legs scurrying back inside, and he's going to squint down at the chicken and glare and says, I don't need a calming tea. Thank you very fucking much. I need to get this sorted. And he just thrusts the thermos to the side of TOC.
I think they take it and magicians flourish it back into their hammer space and they go, it's genuinely endearing. You think you can make the distinction right now. You do not need to. You do not need to make an insight check. It's not endearing. They're done with your shit.
Spikes flare out again. Gosh. I'm sorry. Could you repeat what TOC said again? My brain literally just forgot it.
It is genuinely endearing that you can make the distinction, meaning that he thinks that he can tell whether or not he needs a soothing cup of tea.
Al just rolls his eyes and says, firstly, I know when I'm to the point where I actually need to go calm down. I have enough experience with that, thank you very fucking much. Secondly, I'm not drinking something that a stranger's just handed to me just because they want me to feel better. I have more sense than that, thank you very fucking much.
Around the time that he's like, I know my limit, they're just walking away. They're going over to one of the vines.
Lau's following. Scuttle, scuttle, scuttle. He's also being careful not to step on any of the growths. Actually, I'm going to roll a little save here just to see. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Lau has basically been scuttling behind you, and as he's been going, he's been trying to pull at the vines and stuff that were winding between all the other plants, and some of the legs try to pull, but they have to very quickly snap back as the vines kind of press down on them and try to wind into them as well. They just kind of scurry away, and he gets tilted a little bit in his chair. He has to grab onto the armrest as he gets tilted, and it's just like, fucking shit, what the fuck is this thing? And he's just glaring at it, as again, it's just sitting in the middle, completely chill.
TOC looks back at him and they write, it's invasive, meaning not good for other plants.
Yes, I can fucking see that, thank you. And he swings his arm wide at all the vines, which is why I'm trying to cut off all the vines that are trying to spread.
Without a proper quarantine, of course.
Well, no one else is doing anything about it. All the other toons have just taken their shit and buggered off when I tried to shoo them on. None of them seem to give a shit, so I'm the only one that seems to give a fuck about this place at the moment, so... And he's angrily ranting as he's he's now just picked up his knife and he's just kind of he's getting his vine to like pull at one of the vines and just hacking at it with his knife, which is an Everfrost dagger. So until eventually you hear like as it comes through, and he says, "This has been far more effective than the actual shears were." I'm gonna roll him an investigation. So, the 7. No, he kind of squints at the vine he's just got and just, I don't know if the cold is helping with this. I'll keep using it anyway. It seems somewhat effective. He just tosses it aside and just keeps going for the other vines.
I think PUC is going to move well away from him because holy shit. And they're going to try to find a little patch to try this longsword out on.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, am I rolling? I'm sorry, I spaced out again. I forgot what you said last, I'm really sorry.
They're going to try to find a spot to try this longsword out on.
Oh, well, there's loads of vines all over the place. Like,
they're going to look for somewhere where they're not going to like take out a tomato plant along with it.
Well, there is like, if you have a look around, there is like a thicker line that seems to have become intertwined with some like grapevines. And despite the fact that they are tightly intertwined, there is like a clear patch of it that kind of stretches out from where it's holding onto the grapevine. So you could probably hack at that part.
Alright, I think that like they're going to hold the longsword and they're going to sort of like channel the frustration of talking to this fucking person and his fucking issues and just oh my god, like it's like they're not an extrovert. They take their energy from being alone, but it is very rare for them to find someone who sucks the energy out of them.
Looks at this one. This one does not inspire parenthood.
God. And they're just going to channel that, and they're going to use their bonus action to rage.
Oh my god.
And they're going to give the longsword sort of an experimental twirl. And they're going to try do their college best.
Ooh.
And I think they're let's see. I can never remember their shit. Let's see, actually. Okay. Sorry. The last going on 9 months has been author figures out how to play a barbarian in real time.
At you. I have never played a barbarian, and I thought I was gonna start with a barbarian, and then my brain was like, magic, but smashy, no magic. And I'm like, but smashy, no magic. And I was like, guy, we like smashy, we do like smashy, but magic. And I was just, please, I want to smash something with heavy stuff. And they're like, no, we're going to play with the complicated spells now. And I'm like, please.
Okay, so let's see. I am good. I understand what's going on, definitely. So
as we go along.
They get 2 attacks as a barbarian. They're going to make them reckless attacks, which gives them advantage. And I think for now that's all they'll do. They're not going to break out with a great weapon master shit, unless they score crit. Do you have the stats for longsword handy, or should I just Google it?
But I do not have stats. I believe it's just like a D6 plus 2, I imagine. Or a D8. I just shrug. I literally just pulled the thing out of the hammer space. It's in the hammer space for lore/joke reasons. Basically, I've put when Lau rolls this on the chart, he needs to roll the strength save to see if he drops it or not.
Okay, 1d8. Okay. Come back up here where the rest of their shit is. Okay, so roll a melee attack. So that would be d20 plus 6. Ten. However, they do get 2.
Do get 2. Also, I mean, the vine isn't moving, so...
That's, well, it's a 10 and a 9. But both of those hit.
Yeah, I mean, you'd only have like 5 or below, and that would to miss. So yeah, it's you do a D8 of damage plus your proficiency, I suppose.
Well, it would be plus their proficiency plus the plus 2 from attack. So that would be a D8 plus 5.
For it. Roll 2 D8s plus 5.
Wouldn't that be 2 D8s plus 10?
Oh no, yeah, I meant like... Oh, never mind, ignore me. Yes, 2 D8s plus 10, you can do that. I phrase things funny.
18 points of damage.
Yes. 18 points. Yeah, you cut through this thing cleanly. And as you do, you can kind of see it wiggle a little bit, and you don't hear anything, but you do hear something. You hear like a creak and a groan as the top of this greenhouse starts to like a little bit. You don't know if this thing has moved or not, but you can tell that this cutting this vine has done something.
Can they roll a perception check to see if anything has changed?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll also say that their passive is like 20.
That's fine. Do what you roll this, and if it doesn't roll high enough, then this is fine. This is 26, though. This is 26. You see that this thing isn't... You don't think this was like a case of this thing is alive, but you do see it has shifted slightly, as if losing some support. It's slightly shifted where it's been leaning against the top beams of this place. Or perception for him to see if he notices. I'm guessing it's going to be a big old fat no. Okay. I was going to see you looking up, and he's going to follow your gaze and just... He's just going to fucking look. Then look down at you. Then look up, and it's just... Okay, first of all, I don't think that was a particularly good idea. Right. He's just going to kind of...
Oh, which idea? Your idea? Okay.
Shoot you another glare.
Like, they don't... their name's not written on this fucking longsword pun.
And... I call my boy out like this. He's just... Sorry, give me a moment. I'm trying to see what the hell he can do here. Because he's having a bit of a thinky funk. Where is this? Where are the things I want to do? Oh god, he... Oh god, you stupid man, you would. Okay. Okay. I took his head to the side and then just sigh and just nod and say, oh, fuck it, let's see if this works. And he is just going to scurry as close to this thing as he can.
Why?
Like he's getting more near to it. He's ignoring you.
He is just like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? What can I do to make you stop?
He's ignoring you. He's going on up to the base of this thing. And you see him kind of wiggle one of his hands, just kind of flex all the fingers in and out. He's just... I would suggest probably getting out after this. And he's going to hold up his hand and he's going to gently place it on the side of this thing. And you're going to see his fingers slightly dig in. And he's going to cast Inflict Wounds on this at 3rd level.
On the base of it?
Well, you're going to see... It's going to appear a little strangely. You're going to see him grip his fingers in, and then you're going to see black, smoky lines start to come out across the top of this thing. And it looks like there's just like a thin haze of something, some blackness just crawling over it. And then you're just going to see it slowly disappear into the skin of this thing. And this is where I roll this. Not as much damage as I thought it would do, but you can kind of hear like and you can see slowly bits of it seem to be sluicing off into chunks.
TC is just like, oh boy. Well, there's worse ways to make fertilizer. Like, they're not going to go anywhere because they'll probably survive that falling on them. That's fine. 2, it's if this man wants to do something this dumb, he can do it at a point in time where they don't feel mildly culpable for his well-being.
I hold up loud. This is the smartest dipshit I have ever played. He's so smart and so dumb in so many ways.
I think that, at the corner of the eye, he sees them hold up the notebook and it says, "Are you sure you've thought this through?"
Now looks up at this thing and he looks back at the chicken and just... Well, the other idea wasn't working and I don't see you having any other ideas, so... Guess fucking what, I'm doing what I have to. And he turns back and... does he
what
have...
you have to... This is a public...
I'm the only one dealing with it, so... And he...
Did you ask for help?
But he was offering help, and he just sinks his fingers deeper in. He's going to cast it again. How many more 3rd level spell slots do you have? You've already used 1. Have many more been?
I'm just going to very gently, very carefully, in the background, at disadvantage. There we go. You hear this, pterodactyl shriek, and just, I don't know if, God, they're so fucking frustrated. I don't know if they'd rate this, but they're just like, yes, I was. Yes, they were.
Okay, let me just... Okay, that's good. You're going to see his outline just kind of jitter a bit, and he looks back at you and says... Yes, you were what?
Offering help.
Really? Because from the looks of it, you were just going to go around and do whatever the bloody hell you pleased. And just looks back at this thing and looks back and he says, from the looks of it, you were just going to hop around the garden, public garden, as much as you damn well pleased whilst I was dealing with this thing, so forgive me if I don't fucking believe you. And he's going to turn back around, slap his hand back onto it, and cast another 3rd level Inflict Wounds. Yeah, okay. Slaps his hand back on, and you see more black lines run through, and they disappear. You hear heavier, and so you don't have to roll for this. You can see that you can hear the creaking of the top of the greenhouse just going. This thing slowly slorp bends down into chunks and chunks and chunks and chunks, and these chunks are like twice the size of you. Not huge, but they ain't small.
Yeah, they're just gonna very carefully. Oh, fuck's sake.
Fumble time, fumble time, fumble time.
Alright, what's a 16? Can we be funky little. They pull out the tea again and just like, oh, the irony.
No, it's not tea time. Comes
Oh, Jesus.
so many fumbles.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
They do a magician's flourish and then. Hang on.
I'm looking.
They,
Oh god.
like, a little bit of black smoke drifts off their wing, and it sort of seizes, and they look at it sort of confused. Okay. But it doesn't seem like they pulled anything out other than that, so they're just gonna... There we go. They pull out their pitchfork, and they sort of stow the longsword, and I think that they're going to just sort of get ready to deflect. Like, it's... I think that they've made their way closer to Loud. They aren't quite, like, they aren't sort of, like, joining him over there, but they are just, like, making sure that they keep eye contact.
Well, he's turned back around to face this thing. He's not looking at you. But there are pieces and slabs of this thing falling down, and he has yet to take his hand off of it. And you see that he is, in fact, breathing in and out very, very hard.
Oh, for fuck's sake. They will go retrieve the bird. They do not like that they're retrieving the bird. They hate that they're retrieving the bird. They don't even want to touch him.
This one does not inspire joy. This stinky little man does not inspire joy in the chicken.
God.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have noticed you or anything else. He is just holding his hand up against this thing and digging his claw fingers in and trying his damn fucking hardest to tear it up. And it is slowly tearing up and tearing apart. But again, the more that chunks come off, you see the more the top of the roof just kind of starts to sag.
Yeah, it's... I think that they... You feel something peck at your arm, and you look down, and they... there is a pissed little chicken.
He... down at you, and you see the small spikes that were on there suddenly shut out, and you hear him look down at you, and you hear a noise come from his mouth as he glares at you and says, "Get out."
They yank his arm, and just like, come on, you big chick.
You touched him?
I think that they've, like, they're pulling on one of the spokes of the wheelchair.
Okay. You put on one of the spokes of the wheelchair, and one of the spokes latches onto you. I guess it would latch onto your pitchfork, actually, and kind of gives, like, a gentle tug back. It's not trying to take the pitchfork, but it is just kind of tugging back.
I think they look down at the spoke, and they sort of give it like a pat, like it's okay. And they look back up at Lao like it's, you will be buried. Come on, it's dying.
Roll a persuasion.
Oh, wonderful. Let's just see.
Depending on what you roll, depends on what I have to roll. Even if I have to roll.
Yeah, that's what I thought, you fucking little chicken. There's a reason why they're so good at wisdom rolls, and it's because their charisma is shit.
Wonderful. Oh,
That's a good
baby.
one.
Chicken. Oh, I gotta roll a whiz save. Well, that is an 18. So, Al just hisses at you again, and then looks up, looks at all the pieces falling down, then just jerks his hand off of it. If you want, you can make a dex save.
Alright. $14.
Just duck out of the way as one of the vines tries to swipe at you and pick you up, you think? It didn't look like an attack. Thou just stares at you, just incredibly spiky, more spike than bird at this point, and says, fine, let's get the fuck out of here, and we'll sort out the rest of it later. And he just scurries off.
TUC will follow with like a just like a finally.
You will see that he's not going incredibly fast on these weird spidery legs. You can roll a perception if you want.
Sure.
I'm gonna roll one of my favourite things for him, which is
that's a net one.
Oh my
Still
god.
an 11. Okay.
You don't see it, but for the people at home, Lao is purposefully going a bit slower, and he is checking over his shoulder, like at the side of his eye, to make sure that TOC is coming out.
I mean, they've got what's Lau's movement?
With spider climb in effect, I believe it is still 30. I think it just allows him to have spider climb on. I don't think it increases it to 40. I'll have to check that later, but I'm pretty sure it is still 30.
Yeah, well, they have 40 because they are an unarmored totem warrior. So you can see that they have no problem keeping up. They are, like, if anything, they are slowing down to make sure that they stay between him and the plant.
Oh man.
Like, they're rearguard.
Oh gosh, he spikes a little more at that and just huffs and makes his way out. Doesn't need a fucking guard, thank you very fucking much. But yeah, he makes his way out.
God, I think that, like, once they are well clear of the entrance, TUC will, like, stop and turn and look at all the plants that are probably being crushed. Or at least buried and smothered.
Outside, he's going to turn back and look at the pieces of this thing just slowly thudding. It's not like a sudden collapse. Like, this is like something just slowly peeling outwards and slowly sloughing off of itself, like thunk, 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 thunk. And roll another one of these. Actually,
Also, I see what you did there, sloughing.
I didn't intend to do that, but I guess so. Yeah, and by the time you turn around, this thing has fallen to pieces, and you see that the roots that were growing have very quickly turned brown and sort of withered off and thumped onto the ground. Yeah, congratulations, you've defeated the giant plant. But at what cost? Nell's just looking back at this greenhouse.
I don't think they say anything to him. I think that they actually first of all, they sort of lean the longsword against his wheelchair. And they, God, do I trust their hammer space right now? I might as well. They got 2. Like, I think they got, like, 3 nat ones earlier. Okay. And they pull out, a little chicken-sized satchel of gardening tools. And also a pitchfork. They still have their pitchfork out.
Excellent.
What's that roll for?
That was to see if he could pick the sword back up. He struggles, but he does just about. He leans the hilt on the side of his chair and he kind of heaves it up. And whilst he's struggling to do that, the other vines of his chair slowly lower him to the ground and help him heave it up and back into his hammer face under the blanket. He just sighs and nods and just looks back at this greenhouse and says, I don't know who the hell decided that thing was a good idea to put in there, but I'm going to have to try and sort all of this out and salvage what we can and try and organise where the fuck to put all of this. And he just lifts up a hand and scratches at his forehead, looking clearly wearily inside of this greenhouse.
If you want to help, you can. They're not looking at him. They've pulled out a notebook, and they're like drawing out the different plots and just sort of like figuring out how to organize this.
Now is not looking at the chicken. I'm sad to say they are still looking. They're still looking at They're still just looking at this whole greenhouse. Then
I think that it probably they cross his line of sight as they like step back into the entrance and like look at the roof sort of mistrustfully. But it's probably fine. They're a barbarian. They got hit points. They've died before. It's fine. I
look at you and your fucking chicken.
And they just, they have their pitchfork. They start working.
Al just slowly looks over at the chicken and says, "What the fuck are you doing?"
They look at him. They look at the pitchfork. I don't know how to break this into smaller words for you. What needs explaining?
He's just fucking looking at you in just such confusion and lingering anger, and just shakes his head and just... He's just gonna shake his head and put his head in his hand and just... You've got to see the 3 curls in the back of his head just tighten, like spring coiled tight to the back of his head as he rubs his forehead. He doesn't say anything. It's just...
There is a little metallic donk on the ground next to his wheelchair, and then sort of taking steps away as they go back to their pitchforking.
Let me just roll something. Fantastic. You hear another dum 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 far off to your left as the canteen that you put down is rolling about 20 foot away from you.
They look at him. You feel better?
Doesn't look at you. Does not look at you. Does not say a word. He does turn around and looks around at the place and starts to... He doesn't get any tools out, but he does start to like wander around the place and just inspect things.
Oh, the irony. The irony.
Irony. Yep. And I feel like, unless there's anything else you wanted to add here, author, I don't know if we've missed anything. I feel like these two just work in uncompanionable silence until some authority figure runs by and just fucking shoos them away. Because what are you doing? This is an authoritative matter. You should not... The public should not be here. The public should not be taking care of this. I'm gonna roll with safe aloud to see if he can hold his fucking tongue. Cannot.
Actually, hang on.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, like, TAC, like, is staring this man down like a fucking dinosaur, but they're just like, you know that thing where a character looks inconceivably angry, but, like, they just have a speech bubble with an ellipse in it?
Yes. Okay. This person looks down, and they kind of blink a little confused, and then they just, eyes widen, just like, yes, but you both did a very, you both did, you both stayed around and helped out. We of the council greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
They take a step towards them.
It's just a dust cloud as they go towards the greenhouse.
That was satisfying.
Fucking coward. Where the fuck were you when we needed your help, you piece of shit? And he just mutters, grumbles, and scuttles away. His tiny little wheelchair. And he's not gonna say anything to you. He's just gonna leave.
I think that, like, they just sort of, like, they watch him go and they just silently, like, they don't really pray, they don't do that, they try very hard not to, but, like, they just sort of put it out into the universe to just keep them away from that guy. They can't, they don't want to ever see him again.
Something about this fucker's just, not tasty, not nice, no good.
I mean, if they were to roll an insight on themselves, they could probably figure out exactly what it is. But you know what? Why would they? I think that they just go back into the greenhouse and work a little bit more, and they clear off some of the lots, and they just sort of look at the greenery and how bent and battered it is, but still good. And they can take a little bit of solace in that.
Yeah. I will also say, if you're looking around, most of this plant seems to have already kind of, like, loamed up and turned into, like, what's the word? Into mulch. Like, that process happened very quickly, and most of the vines that dropped off have also very quickly turned into, like, loamy, fertile soil, fertilizer kind of stuff. Like, that happened really quickly. Now the houses, like the greenhouses, there's still like larger chunks that are slowly loaming up, but they are very quickly turning into fertilizer piles.
They don't dress like that. Also, at some point we'll confer, but yeah, I think that's where we call it.
Right. Cool. This was there wasn't as many threats and general stabbing as I thought there would be, but man, contention, bird-to-bird contention certainly did happen.
I mean, for PUC, it's been done. Like, they fucking hate this bird. They don't dislike many people, but this one, they can't. They're not, no. No.
I hold up one smelly man who just is fucking done, and then a chicken came in who can't speak but understands language and can write, and he's just so fucking done, with so much shit, and this chicken's just made it so much worse. But yeah, thank you for playing with me, author. I'm glad Bastard Bird and your chicken could meet up and just be irritated at each other.
God, this was so much fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you for playing with me. Thank you everyone for listening, both live and in the future. I hope you had fun. I did, and Arthur did.
So, yeah, I hope you all enjoy. This is where I say goodbye, and I'll see you later.